I never thought I'd be writing this, but I need to get this off my chest and maybe get some perspective from strangers on the internet. My world completely collapsed 3 months ago, and I am still trying to process everything. I was never jealous of his students. He always said, they are children. That's what I kept telling myself for 8 years of marriage to David. He is a high school English teacher, and honestly, I was so proud of him. Teacher of the Year twice, beloved by students and parents alike. Kids would light up when they saw him in the hallways. He had this natural charisma that made Shakespeare come alive for teenagers who'd rather be on TikTok. I met David when I was 26 and he was 30. We dated for 2 years before getting married, and those first few years were honestly perfect. He'd come home with funny stories about his students' creative interpretations of Hamlet, or how he managed to get the class clown interested in poetry. I loved seeing his passion for teaching. The thing about being married to a teacher is that you become used to a certain rhythm. Students come and go every year, but there are always a few who make a lasting impression. David would mention them occasionally. The shy kid who finally found their voice, the troublemaker who turned their life around through literature. I never felt threatened by these relationships because, well, they were kids. But Emma was different from the start. She was in David's SAP English class during her senior year. The first time he mentioned her, it was innocent enough. She was one of his brightest students, had real potential as a writer. Emma wrote this incredible essay on Sylvia Plath. He'd say, or Emma asked the most insightful question about symbolism in The Great Gatsby today. At first, I was happy for him. Every teacher dreams of having students who truly get it, who make all the late nights grading papers worth it. But as the school year progressed, Emma's name started coming up more and more frequently. Emma stayed after class to discuss her college applications. Emma recommended this book to me. I think you'd like it too. Emma's going through a tough time at home. Her parents are getting divorced. I started noticing things. David would check his phone more often during dinner, smiling at messages. When I asked who was texting, he'd say it was just school stuff. He started staying later at work, claiming he was helping students with college prep. Which wasn't unusual. David had always been the type of teacher who went above and beyond. But then I started seeing her name pop up on his social media. Emma_writes18 liked your photo. Emma_writes18 commented on your post. You the best teacher ever. /quote. I told myself I was being ridiculous. She was just an enthusiastic student showing appreciation for a teacher who made a difference in her life. David had dozens of former students who followed him on social media and occasionally commented on his posts. But Emma was still a current student, and she was turning 18 in February. February came and went. Emma turned 18, and I remember David mentioning it because she brought cupcakes to class to celebrate. Sweet kid, he said. She's really matured this year. The social media interactions intensified after her birthday. Not just likes anymore, but actual conversations in the comments. I started screenshotting them, though I am not sure why. Maybe some part of me knew I'd need evidence later. David's post about a weekend hiking trip. Emma_writes18. Wow, wish I could explore places like that. Maybe you could recommend some beginner-friendly trails? David. I'd be happy to help. There are some great spots about an hour from town. David's post about a new book. Emma_writes18. Adding this to my reading list. You always know the best books. Coffee sometime to discuss? David. Always happy to talk literature with a fellow book lover. I confronted him about it in March. Don, you think Emma's being a little familiar? David laughed it off. She's just an engaged student. You know how much I love when kids are passionate about learning. She's asking you for coffee, David. Academic mentorship, he said, not looking up from his laptop. It's perfectly normal for students to want guidance from teachers they respect. But it wasn't normal, was it? Been around teachers my whole life. My mom was one. Several of my friends were teachers. Students didn't typically invite their teachers for coffee to discuss literature. Things escalated in April. Emma started showing up to David's classroom during his free periods. I know because I decided to surprise him with lunch one day and saw her leaving his room, laughing at something he said. She barely acknowledged me when David introduced us. "Oh, you, Mr. Harrison's wife," she said with this strange smile. "He talks about you sometimes." The way she said it made my skin crawl. That's when I noticed David had become secretive about his phone. He'd take it to the bathroom, keep it face down during dinner, quickly switch screens when I walked into the room. When I asked about it, he said he was planning a surprise for our anniversary. Our anniversary wasn't until October. The final straw came in early May. I was doing laundry and found a gift in David's jacket pocket. An expensive leather-bound journal with "For the Writer in You" engraved on the cover. It was wrapped with a ribbon and had a card attached. The card read, "Thank you for believing in my dreams and helping me find my voice. You've changed my life in ways you'll never know. I hope this helps you capture all your beautiful thoughts." I confronted David that night. "This is from Emma, isn't it?" His face went white. "She gave it to me as a thank you gift for helping with her college essays." "This is a $200 journal, David. Students don't give teachers gifts like this. You overreacting. She comes from money, and she's grateful. That's all." But I could see the lie in his eyes. The way he clutched the journal protectively. The way he couldn't meet my gaze. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about all the late nights, the secretive phone calls, the way Emma looked at him, and the way he looked back. The weeks leading up to graduation were tense. David sensed my suspicion and became even more careful with his phone. I started paying closer attention to his behavior, and what I saw made me sick. He would delete text conversations right after reading them. I caught him doing it one evening while he thought I was in the shower. He was sitting on our bed, phone in hand, and I watched through the crack in the bathroom door as he opened messages, read them with this soft smile I hadn't seen him give me in months, then immediately deleted the entire conversation thread. When I came out, he was already putting his phone in the nightstand drawer. "Who was that?" I asked casually. "Just school admin stuff about graduation prep," he lied smoothly. I started having nightmares. Dreams where I walk into David's classroom and find him and Emma in compromising positions. Dreams where I discover love letters, photos, evidence of betrayal. I wake up in cold sweats, telling myself I was being paranoid. But the dreams felt more real than David's reassurances. Graduation day arrived in mid-June. David had been unusually excited about it, which struck me as odd since he typically found graduation ceremonies tedious. "You should come," he said over breakfast. "It would mean a lot to have you there supporting me." I should have known something was wrong. In 8 years of marriage, David had never invited me to a graduation ceremony. He usually complained about having to sit through hours of speeches and name-calling. The ceremony was held at the school's football stadium. I found a seat in the family section while David joined the other faculty on the field. He looked handsome in his suit, and for a moment, I felt that familiar pride watching him represent his school. The speeches began. Student council president, valedictorian, then select faculty members. When they called David to the podium, I pulled out my phone to record his speech like any proud wife would. He spoke beautifully about the power of literature to transform lives, about watching students discover their voices through writing, about the privilege of being part of their journey toward adulthood. The audience was captivated. Parents were nodding, some wiping away tears. I was recording everything, feeling foolish for my recent suspicions. This was my husband, the passionate educator, the man who genuinely cared about his students' futures. Then I saw her. Emma was in the front row of graduates, wearing her cap and gown, looking up at David with an expression I'd never seen a student give a teacher. It wasn't admiration or respect. It was pure adoration, love. And when David finished his speech and stepped down from the podium, she was there waiting for him. Not rushing the stage like some graduates do, but positioned perfectly to intercept him. I watched through my phone camera, still recording, as Emma approached David. She said something to him, and he smiled, that same soft smile I'd seen him give his phone. Then she reached out and touched his arm. Not a handshake, not a quick congratulatory pat. Her hand lingered on his forearm, fingers gently caressing the fabric of his suit jacket. It was intimate, possessive, and completely inappropriate for a graduation ceremony surrounded by hundreds of people. But what destroyed me was David's reaction. He didn't pull away. He didn't step back or maintain professional distance. He leaned slightly into her touch and said something that made her laugh. After witnessing Emma's intimate touch and David's response, I felt sick to my stomach. I needed air, so I walked toward the concession stand area to get some water and compose myself. Maybe I was overreacting. Maybe it was just a grateful student thanking a teacher who made a difference. But as I rounded the corner of the building, I heard familiar voices. Emma was there with another girl from her graduating class. I recognized her from David's social media posts. They were partially hidden behind a pillar, and I instinctively stopped when I heard my husband's name. "Can believe you actually did it," the friend was saying. In front of everyone, Emma laughed, and the sound made my blood run cold. It wasn't the laugh of an innocent teenager. It was knowing, confident, almost predatory. "Please, like anyone would suspect anything," Emma replied. "Besides, I am 18 now. I am not his student anymore as of today. But still, Emma, he's married. What if his wife saw that when Emma said the words that will haunt me forever? I am still going to be with him. That old lady is no match for me." My knees nearly gave out. I grabbed the brick wall for support, my heart pounding so loud I was afraid they'd hear it. "Are you serious? Like, actually together?" the friend pressed. We've been planning this for months," Emma said, her voice dripping with satisfaction. "He's been so careful, waiting until I graduated, but we both know what we want. He's already looking at apartments. Says he needs space to think about his marriage, but we both know what that means." Oh my God, Emma, a teacher though? Isn't that like illegal or something? Not anymore. I am 18. I am graduated, and I am not his student. We're both adults who can make our own choices. The friend giggled nervously. He's so much older though. Like, he's almost 40. Age is just a number, Emma replied, and I could practically hear her shrugging. He gets me in ways boys my age never could. And he's so sophisticated, so passionate about literature and life. Plus, he's told me things about his marriage that, well, let's just say I am giving him something his wife never could. I had to bite my lip to keep from crying out. This girl, this child, was talking about my husband, my marriage, my life like it was some obstacle to overcome. "When are you going to tell her?" the friend asked. We're not. He's going to handle it quietly. Probably say they grew apart or something. Men do it all the time. Midlife crisis. Found someone who understands them better. She'll never know about us. That's kind of cold, Emma. It's realistic, Emma shot back. Look, I didn't set out to fall for my teacher, but sometimes love just happens. And when it does, you fight for it. She's had 8 years with him. Now it's my turn. I heard their footsteps moving away, but I couldn't move. I stood there against that brick wall, my entire world crumbling around me. The man I'd loved and trusted for 8 years, the man I'd been proud to call my husband, had been planning to leave me for his teenage student. And I never would have known if I hadn't overheard this conversation. When I finally made it back to my car, I sat in the parking lot and screamed until my throat was raw. I drove home from graduation in a daze. David had texted saying he was going to the faculty celebration dinner and would be home late. Perfect. I needed time to process what I heard and figure out what to do next. Part of me hoped I misunderstood. Maybe Emma was delusional, fantasizing about a relationship that didn't exist. Maybe she misinterpreted David's mentorship as something more. 18-year-olds weren't known for their emotional maturity, right? But deep down, I knew. All those months of suspicious behavior suddenly made perfect sense. I couldn't eat, couldn't focus on anything. Around 10 p.m., I remembered that David's tablet was still on his nightstand. We always shared devices freely. His Netflix account was logged in on my laptop, my Amazon account on his tablet. We never had secrets. Until now. I picked up the tablet with shaking hands. His email was synced across all his devices, which meant his text messages would be too if he hadn't specifically disabled it. David wasn't particularly tech-savvy, so there was a chance. I opened his messages and saw the usual suspects: his brother, his department head, a few teacher friends. Then I saw a conversation thread that made my stomach drop. My star student. That's what he named her contact. Not Emma, not her last name like he did with other students. My star student, with a star emoji next to it. I clicked on it, and months of deleted conversations came flooding back through the cloud sync. David had been deleting them from his phone, but not from the tablet. The earliest messages were from February, right after her birthday. Emma, thank you for staying after to help me with my essay. You, the only teacher who really gets my writing. David. You have real talent, Emma. I see something special in you. Emma. I've been thinking about what you said about finding my authentic voice. I think I am ready to be more honest about my feelings. David. Honesty is the foundation of all great literature. And life. Innocent enough, but the tone was all wrong. Too personal. Too intimate for a teacher-student relationship. As I scrolled through March and April, the messages became increasingly inappropriate. Emma, I keep thinking about our conversation about passion in literature. Do you think age difference matters when there's a real connection? David. The heart wants what it wants, regardless of societal expectations. Emma. I can't stop thinking about you. Is that wrong, David? Nothing about the way you feel is wrong. You mature beyond your years. I had to stop reading. My husband was grooming his student, and I was watching it happen in real time through old text messages. But I forced myself to continue. I needed to see everything. By May, the messages had escalated dramatically. Emma, only 2 weeks until graduation. Then we can stop hiding. David. I've been looking at apartments. Somewhere we can have privacy. Emma. I can't wait to wake up next to you. David. Soon, my love. We just have to be patient a little longer. My love. He called her, my love. Then I found the photos. They were in a separate folder, password protected, but David had used our anniversary date as the password. Even in his betrayal, he wasn't creative. The first few were innocent. Emma in his classroom. Emma at what looked like a coffee shop. Emma in a bookstore. But then they became more intimate. Emma in lingerie, posing seductively. Emma in what was clearly David's car, taken from the driver's seat. Emma in various states of undress with messages like, counting down the days, and, for your eyes only until graduation. The final photo was timestamped the night before graduation. Emma in bed, completely naked, with a message that read, tomorrow I am officially yours. I love you, Mr. Harrison. And David had responded, I love you too. See you at graduation, beautiful. I ran to the bathroom and vomited until there was nothing left. I didn't sleep that night. I sat on our bathroom floor until 3 a.m., staring at the evidence on David's tablet, screenshotting everything. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely operate the device, but I knew I needed proof. Not just for a potential divorce, but for the school district. What David had done wasn't just adultery. It was an abuse of power that could destroy other students' lives. David came home around midnight, reeking of wine and celebration. He found me sitting at our kitchen table with the tablet in front of me. "Hey babe, sorry I am so late. The dinner ran longer than." He stopped mid-sentence when he saw my face. "What's wrong?" I turned the tablet toward him, showing the message thread with "my star student." I watched the color drain from his face. "I can explain," he said immediately. "Can you?" My voice was eerily calm. "Can you explain why you've been grooming your teenage student for months? Can you explain these photos? Can you explain why you told her you love her?" David slumped into the chair across from me. For a moment, I thought he might actually show remorse. Instead, he went on the offensive. "You went through my private messages? You violated my privacy?" I almost laughed. "Your privacy? David, you've been planning to leave me for your student, and you worried about privacy?" "It's not what you think," he said, running his hands through his hair. "Emma, she's different. She's mature, sophisticated. She understands me in ways that I don't." I finished. "Is that what you were going to say? That your teenage student understands you better than your wife of 8 years?" "She's 18, he snapped. "She's a legal adult who can make her own choices." "She was 17 when this started, David. I can see the timestamps. You've been grooming a minor." "I never touched her while she was my student," he protested. "I waited until what? Until the arbitrary date she turned 18? Until graduation? That doesn't make this okay, David. You in a position of power over her. You supposed to protect students, not exploit them." He was quiet for a long moment. Then, "I am in love with her." Those 5 words broke something in me that I didn't know could still break. After seeing all the evidence, after overhearing Emma's cruel words, I thought I'd hit rock bottom. But hearing my husband, the man I'd built a life with, calmly tell me he loved someone else was devastating in a way I can't describe. "Did you ever love me?" I whispered. "Of course I did. I do. But Emma, she makes me feel alive again. She sees potential in me that I'd forgotten existed. And what do I do? Make you feel dead?" David looked away. "We've grown apart, Sarah. You have to admit that. We've become roommates, not lovers." Emma reminds me what passion feels like. I wanted to scream that we'd grown apart because he'd been emotionally investing in another relationship for months. That I'd felt him pulling away but didn't know why. That I'd tried to reconnect with him countless times only to be brushed off while he saved his energy for his teenage girlfriend. Instead, I stood up. "I want you out of this house by tomorrow night. Sarah, please. We can work through this." I ended with Emma. "We can go to counseling." "You end it?" I laughed bitterly. "David, she told her friend at graduation that you already looking at apartments." This isn't some momentary lapse in judgment. "You've been planning your exit strategy for months." His face told me everything I needed to know. He hadn't expected me to find out about that part. "I already called my lawyer," I lied. "And on Monday, I am calling the school district. What you did is grounds for termination, and possibly criminal charges depending on when this physical relationship actually started. You can do that. You ruined my career." "Your career?" I stared at him in disbelief. "You ruined your own career the moment you decided to pursue a student. I am just making sure other students are protected from you." He tried to argue, to negotiate, to make promises he couldn't keep. But I was done listening. I went to our bedroom, locked the door, and called my sister. Through tears, I told her everything. She was on a plane the next morning. David packed 2 suitcases and left Sunday evening. He looked pitiful standing in our doorway, begging for another chance. But all I could see was Emma's hand on his arm. Hear her calling me, that old lady. Remember the photos of her in our bed? Yes, our bed. I found those too. I hope she's worth it, I said as I closed the door. It's been 3 months since David left, and I finally feel ready to finish this story. Thank you to everyone who followed along and offered support. Your messages kept me sane during the darkest period of my life. I kept my promise about calling the school district. Monday morning, I walked into the superintendent's office with printed copies of every message, every photo, and a detailed timeline of David's inappropriate relationship with Emma. The superintendent's face went white as he reviewed the evidence. David was suspended immediately pending investigation. Within a week, he'd been terminated for violation of professional ethics and the district's code of conduct. The local teachers' union refused to represent him once they saw the evidence. His teaching license was revoked by the State Board of Education. Emma's parents were notified. Turns out they had no idea about the relationship. Her mother called me, sobbing, apologizing for her daughter's role in destroying my marriage. I felt sorry for her. She was as blindsided as I was. The divorce was finalized last month. David didn't contest anything. He couldn't afford a lawyer after losing his job, and honestly, what defense did he have? I got the house, most of our assets, and my dignity intact. Here's the part that still amazes me. David and Emma lasted exactly 6 weeks after he moved out. Apparently, the reality of being with an unemployed, disgraced former teacher wasn't as romantic as Emma had imagined. When the novelty wore off and she realized he couldn't provide the sophisticated lifestyle she envisioned, she moved on. My sister heard through the grapevine that Emma's now dating a college senior, someone closer to her actual maturity level. David tried to contact me when Emma left him, showed up at my door looking haggard, begging for forgiveness, claiming Emma had seduced him and he'd been confused. I didn't even let him finish talking before I closed the door. The aftermath wasn't easy. I had to deal with whispers around town, people choosing sides, the humiliation of everyone knowing my husband left me for his teenage student. Some people blamed me, said I must not have been meeting his needs for him to stray. Others were sympathetic but treated me like a victim, which was almost worse. But here's what they learned. I wasn't the problem. David's actions had nothing to do with any failings in our marriage and everything to do with his own character flaws. A good man doesn't groom his students. A good man doesn't plan an exit strategy while lying to his wife's face every day. A good man doesn't pursue teenagers when he's approaching 40. I am in therapy now, working through the betrayal and rebuilding my sense of self-worth. I reconnected with friends I neglected during my marriage. I started writing again, something I gave up years ago. I even went back to school to get my master's degree in counseling. I want to help other women who been through similar betrayals. Last week, I ran into one of David's former colleagues at the grocery store. She told me that several other female students had come forward after David's firing, reporting inappropriate comments and behavior over the years. Emma wasn't his first target. She was just the first one he successfully groomed. That information validated every instinct I had about reporting him. How many other students might he have hurt if I stayed silent to protect my own privacy? David moved 2 states away and is working at a hardware store. His dreams of being an inspiring educator are over, and rightfully so. I heard he's bitter, blames me for overreacting and ruining his life. Even now, he can take responsibility for his choices. Emma started college this fall. I hope she gets the therapy she needs and learns to form healthy relationships with people her own age. Despite everything she put me through, she was still a teenager being manipulated by an adult in a position of power. As for me, I am doing better than I ever thought possible. I bought new furniture, painted the walls bright colors, Adopted a rescue dog named Lucy. The house feels like mine now instead of ours. I am dating again. Slowly, carefully, but with hope for the future. To anyone reading this who sees red flags in their relationship, trust your instincts. Don't make excuses for your partner's suspicious behavior. Don't let anyone gaslight you into thinking your concerns are paranoia or jealousy. And to anyone who's been betrayed like this, it's not your fault. You deserve better. You will survive this, and eventually, you'll realize that losing someone who could treat you this way isn't actually a loss at all. Thank you all for following my story. I am closing comments on this thread, but feel free to message me if you need someone to talk to who understands.